This is Brother Ron, and welcome to We All Be News Radio and TV, the news-free Dixie for the 21st century.
Yeah. So what are we going to talk about today?
Well, talk about your favorite subject, the Black Panther. About the gun stuff. Your thoughts about, I guess, the backlash from Parkland shooting with the young people marching on Washington and all this other stuff. And it's so much crap going on. Oh yeah, what happened down in Miami. Your thoughts about that bridge collapse, which was kind of weird. They said they built that thing while people were still driving on the road and all the other stuff, and they got it up on Saturday. Then the next thing you know, it's down, crushing people.
Well, there's a lot of fraud that's been going on around the country in highway construction.
Okay.
Probably it falls over into the bridge thing too. And what that's about is to win the contract to build the road, people underbid, and what they do is they fail to essentially put in all of the foundation they're supposed to.
Mm-hmm.
That makes it cheaper, and that gives them a contract in perpetuity to come back and repair the things.
Wow.
You living here in Memphis probably have had the experience of driving down I-55.
Mm-hmm.
And it's bumpy, bump, 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 bump.
Right.
You get past Shelby Drive, get to State Line Road, you get into Mississippi, and all of a sudden that same road is smooth.
Mm-hmm.
With the same 18-wheelers going over it. That's because they did not have the fraud we had that started under Ray Blanton's era here of these people putting down deficient road beds.
Mm. Wow.
I imagine the same thing has happened to bridges, and we've got such a thing now about cutting corners on infrastructure, whether it's people or bridges or highways, that I'm not surprised that we haven't had more accidents, really.
Yeah. Think about stuff like, that what happened in Minnesota some years ago with the bridge collapsing. And people talking about I-95 on the East Coast side is really just falling apart. The road out there, I mean, it's major infrastructure.
See, our whole national infrastructure was started somewhere around 70-some years ago, and it hasn't really been maintained like it ought to be, and it's falling apart.
Mm-hmm.
That's also happened in our infrastructure as it pertains to the next generation. I go into public schools now, and I go into these charter schools now. I go into these private schools now, and I remember what public schools used to be. And I know that these kids are just getting defrauded by what they get passed off on them as an education.
Mm-hmm.
I know that these kids are suffering because half the parents don't know how to be parents. And most of them these days, the overwhelming majority, don't have enough parents at home. They only have one.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't have a chance. They are ill prepared. They're not particularly educated. They have not developed wisdom, and they are very short of a phenomenon called common sense. And we have this thing on the larger level of we want new and improved, some fresh new faces, which generally means another somebody that's way out of his league or her league and really has no business in the position. I see there's a thing in one eastern state where they elected a 27-year-old as a judge who has no law school, no college. You know, that's just awful. And I've seen that kind of thing over the years, and it just does not deliver justice and equity to the people. They cheat themselves, and it's a presumption for you to step in and say, I'll do something that you ought to have common sense to know you are nowhere prepared to deal with. You're supposed to be learned and experienced in the practice of law and wise in the ways of the world, and you don't get wise in the ways of the world having been adult for 5 years.
But what do people say with Judge? Well, what about the civil rights movement 50 years ago when you had, like, you know, people like Dr. King and them started when they were like 25 and 26 and 24?
The civil rights movement was not really for black folk. That was for white people. See, I have to tell you frankly, on the East Coast, West Coast, we used to be so embarrassed seeing our people down on their knees getting beat across their head by some redneck until they felt guilty about it. There was a place, but we didn't like it. And see, we went to schools that weren't segregated. So we had to endure white classmates. Oh, you guys got your butt beat today. Yeah, I saw you get your ass kicked. Yeah, hit that dude across the head with a nightstick. Knock the crap out of you, man. Yeah. Oh, you want to see if I don't knock the crap out of you? You open your mouth one more time. And I remember when they had a march, the Selma March. They got to that bridge at the foot where those projects were at the foot of. I think it may have gone into Montgomery. And I found out when I got back here that this had been censored. You people in the South did not get to see this. You still haven't. The police turned fire hoses on everybody, and all these people had turned out of the projects, and those street brothers then, when they still had some manhood, what went on was when the cops started turning the dogs loose into the crowd, there was this German Shepherd that sailed out about 3 feet over everybody's head, end over end, hit the ground, and started yelping and slunk off. This cop ran in with a nightstick waving. The crowd closed over him, and he was running out, hit the ground, no helmet. They started stomping on him, you know. So then they jacked the police. We were going, yeah, right on.
Wow.
So,
I mean, John Lewis don't remember that. I don't think.
No, he doesn't. I, you know, frankly, some people say it took a lot of courage. I just said, you know, I don't buy that. I think this world would be, in the United States, would be a lot different if some of our black antecedents had played kamikaze, and when the Klan, the Night Riders, came up and started trying to jack somebody up, they took a couple of them on the way out. Did you see it? Oh, we got to go down there. There's an upper the Negro down there on the far south end of town. We got to put that boy in his place. I don't know, Billy Earl. You know, Thomas went down there and that Negro fired him up. And now his family ain't got nobody to feed them, you know, and they suffering and they about to get foreclosed on. You better go on down there and see about that yourself. I mean, them niggers is out of hand, but I don't want to be getting I got 8 youngins to feed. I can't be dealing with getting myself took out off of one of them crazy niggers.
Wow.
And let's make a long story short. They named trains and places after Native Americans. What did they name after us? Nothing, not much. You know, that's a thing. Now, we right now have resurrected some slavish tendencies. And we are our own worst enemy. The real problem that we face in our hoods is not so much racism these days, but a lack of manhood. The white world is facing a lack of manhood. About 50 some years ago, a bit more than 50 years ago, you had the beta boys. I call them BBTs.
Mm-hmm.
The beta boy thing. They were nerd, dork, white guys who did not fit into the white man's world. They didn't like it. You had the nascent feminists who had come from the suffragettes, and they thought things like marriage and having a husband and a steady man, those were simply forms of slavery. You had this anti-war reaction to the Vietnam situation, and there was a feeling that was expressed that used to go, they'd say women needed to change things. It was up to the women. They needed to change the way boys were raised to men, so they became emotional, to let it cry, to shout, to let it all hang out, instead of trying to be so uptight and under self-control like traditional men. They needed to get rid of things like duty, honor, obligation, responsibility, accountability, bravery, and courage, because those things just caused war. Children should be raised in a unisex fashion. There should be unisex child clothing. The children should wear their hair the same. And boys should be allowed to play with dolls, no war toys like cap guns or water pistols or anything. Oh my God, they may be violent. But what they did is, when the group of them, along with the LGBTQ group, started trying to ruin masculinity, as first a defense, and then second, I think, out of a retaliatory thing and trying to change the paradigm, what they did is they unleashed a monster. They took the number one predator on the planet Earth, the best killer on this planet, and they decided to destroy tens of thousands of years of cultural development, where the acculturation and socialization of a boy evolved in lockstep with his physiological evolution, so that he was somebody who knew about his predator. He had been taught at great length, brainwashed even, with the necessity of certain things that were important to be a man, so that he was under self-control. So as a matter of personal pride, he adhered to a code of conduct. That left generally men of peace for any given community, whether you're talking about a cave, village, tribe, township, an outpost, or an urban area.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when you take that away, that predator is out of control. He doesn't know how to stand up to a bully. The bully hasn't been beat down when he picked on the wrong person who could be about the manly arts in a better fashion than he was. You have all of these people who will get up in your face and have never been in a fight and don't know what it's about. They carelessly evoke these passions that go along with master predator on the planet. They are out of control, and when you start trying to say they ought to be peaceful, they go postal at the drop of a hat and blow up a hallway, with a few rounds of ammo, or they continuously deal death in the hood. You see, both of the problems is there's a lack of fatherhood there with the ones that jack up the hallways, the ones that jack up the hoods.
Mm-hmm.
And they've got this thing now where they refuse to acknowledge the error of this child rearing strategy, the new paradigm that they have. And they think that if we get rid of a 22 caliber semi-auto rifle, or some with a bump stock, and by the way, I've seen people pull revolver triggers faster than folk can shoot a bump stock semi-auto rifle. guy named Mikulik. He's a staunch shooter for Smith and Wesson. He can take a revolver and fire 8 shots on target in less than a second.
Wow.
And that's not, that's with his finger. I've seen people who can pull the trigger on a semi-auto shotgun faster than the action can keep up with the trigger finger, and it jams. And it's just 22. They still have 30 caliber stuff out there, some serious lightweight stuff. They're talking about, why does anyone need a military rifle? Well, up until now, every single year of the Republic's existence for the last 240 plus years, the citizenry has been able to get the standard military rifle, be it flintlock, muzzle loader, be it percussion muzzle loader, be it Springfield trapdoor, be it a Lee Enfield, not Lee Enfield, a 30-40 Craig bolt action, or a 30-06 1903 bolt action copied from an 1898 Mauser, to the M1 Garand, and everybody had a carbine in their closet at one time, M1 carbine. And right now, you can't get the military weapon. AR, by the way, does not stand for assault rifle. It stands for Armalite. An assault rifle is, by definition, a machine gun. It fires an intermediate power cartridge. A pistol that's fired by a fully automatic weapon is known as a submachine gun. A weapon that fires a full power rifle round is known as a general purpose machine gun. And a weapon that fires an intermediate round that can be controlled in full automatic fire is known as an assault rifle. You can do lookalikes that will fire semi-auto. You can do them so they're just airball guns, and you can do them so they're just 22 rim fire, and you can do them so they're just BB guns or just plain plastic water guns. They are just lookalike, and if they don't go full auto and you can't go rock and roll with them, they're not assault rifles. Now, you can buy a full auto weapon, but there are certain things that go along with it. You have to go through an extensive background check. You've got to get the local chief of police or commissioner of police or sheriff or a judge to sign off on your application. You have to get fingerprinted. You send the application off to the feds with a $200 payment for the transfer tax. It goes to the D.C. They check you out at great length. It takes up to 6 months, 7, 8, 9 months for them to run the check on the person. And you can buy a submachine gun that had to have been made prior to 1984. 86, excuse me. You can't buy a brand new one. It has to be one that's already in circulation. And there's a limited amount, and if you want to buy it that way, going through a Class C 3 dealer, it's going to cost you something between $7,000 and $25,000 to get it. Now, you can do that, but you can't buy those at guns show. You can't buy those at a typical gun store, but you can get them easily enough if you know where to get something black market, because it's the same place you get the cocaine, the opiates, the same place you get the drugs that people get wasted off of all of the time. When it's cocaine or opiates, it gets smuggled in. And the war on drugs has not been able to stop that drug trade. And at the same time, they bring in the cocaine and other hard drugs, the opiates, the heroin. They bring in shipments of guns, too. You see, down from South America, when they bring the cocaine in, they bring in a few U.S. military rifles that have been sold by the U.S. government to South American governments, but now they are being black marketed supposedly to raise funds for black ops. And then, let's say, Israel has a huge stockpile of Kalashnikov design stuff they got from their Arab opponents in the 60s and 70s, and the U.S. government is turning a blind eye as the Israelis bring in hard opiates from the Middle East in Kalashnikov design stuff that is real live AK-47s that are real assault rifles because they'll go full rock and roll.
Mm-hmm.
They're bringing in American full auto weapons from South Korea because we gave them a lot, and they're sending in opiates and selling off the stuff on our black markets so that their native industry called Daewoo can make new weapons for the South Korean army, and we turn a blind eye because we want a cushion against the crazy rocket man in North Korea. We get a lot of stuff coming in from the Middle East, which are opiates, because in Afghanistan, that's what they've been doing for the last 250 years, is growing opiates. For the longest time, they used it to trade for tea so you could forget your A.L.L or Lipton that was bought off of the backs of addicting millions of Chinese to opium.
Mm-hmm.
But it's coming in from there, and the rationalization is we have to fight terrorism. That's where the hardware comes in that you ought to be worried about. And even if you cut out what you was going through, most, not you, but people are getting the heebie-jeebies about, oh my God, and the children are marching on Washington. Well, you know what? Those sickos that don't have any man training, those whacked out girl boys out there, you didn't get rid of them. And guess what? They can go Timothy McVeigh on you. And you know what Timothy McVeigh did? He bought fertilizer. It's called ammonium nitrate. Ammonium nitrate is the most common fertilizer in America. And it's got another use. You know what that is? They use it as the high explosive in military artillery shells. Ammonium nitrate, that's what Timothy McVeigh blew up the courthouse in Oklahoma City with. He had about 200 pounds of ammonium nitrate fertilizer. The sheriff's department uses it right now when they want to make explosives. They just go down to the nearest lawn and garden place and buy a bag of ammonium nitrate, and they don't have to go buy dynamite. Guess what? 200 pounds of ammonium nitrate is as powerful as 300 pounds of TNT. Just imagine that.
Wow.
They put 7.8 pounds of ammonium nitrate in a 155 millimeter howitzer shell. That's standard artillery round for the U.S. military. But you can buy 25 pounds for $10, $15. And there are no controls. See, you have a monster out there. Why do you want to go in and shoot up 15 to 20, 25 when you can get several hundred like Timothy McVeigh did? What was his body count? 252, 256? He blew up a whole courthouse with fertilizer.
Yeah. That, man, I want to ask you this. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Now, one other thing, I just want to say this. If you really wanted to take somebody out, you wouldn't be crazy enough to do what these morons do. Go walk in there with a 223 caliber rifle. You walk in there with an old-time 12-gauge pump double-aught buck and learn how to use it. Hey, you could take down a whole lot more people. That's a lot more lethal than a 22 caliber centerfire.
Wow.
Even the military, when they bust down doors, they do this house-to-house warfare stuff in the Middle East. Guess what they issue? Mossberg 590s. You can go down and buy a Mossberg 590 at most of the hardware stores. The ones they have don't have as thick a barrel. It'll be called a 500. You can get the Benelli M4, which is also known in the military as the 1014, a semi-auto 12-gauge shotgun. Those are the two that they use. Best in the world. And you can do devastating damage with that. Deadliest thing in the world from 10, 15 yards and down. The military complains every now and then about what everybody's all freaked out about is it's too late to reliably stop somebody. And all of these ignoramuses that don't know, these beta boys who are scared of everything because they haven't had man training. And by the way, man training includes the manly arts of self-defense. You need to know how to shoot something. A pistol, a shotgun, and a rifle. Those are manly skills. Martial arts are manly skills, or boxing, something like that. You ought to know how to do that. Every man needs to have been in at least one fist fight in his life. And we take the kids and it's 8 years old and somebody wants to call the police because 2 8-year-olds have gotten in a fight on the yard, and you got ignoramuses from, oh my God, we need to protect the children from bullying, and the police and the parents and the faculty just need to suppress all this, and they have the online bullying. How the hell are you going to bully anybody online? If you're too punk ass to be able to resist killing your dumb self because somebody's talking about you online, God, you never would have made it where I went to school. We used to run the dozen. Hey, man, I don't say nothing, man, but I saw your mama last night, man. Let me tell you. And see, now they get the credit. Oh, talk about my mama. Oh, shut up, fool. See, it used to be a sport. Talk about everybody's mama. Yeah, man. Your mama's so fat, man, she get in the bathtub, she can't get clean because, man, they can't even get one drop of water squeezed in there with her fat self.
Wow.
You know. Now they want to call clinical psychologists because some other kid said that to another kid and kid's gone freak.
That's interesting. Well, Judge, let's talk about like the profile of some of these so-called mass shooter people. You know, you never hear. Yeah.
They don't have a father. It's the same thing in the hood. They don't have a daddy. You got a problem. This isn't even black. This is American. One set of statistics I saw suggested that 80-some% of all Americans 20 years of age and under are born out of wedlock. That is ridiculous. I mean, that's supposed to be an accident, not the norm, and not just more than 50%, the overwhelming majority. Just think about that. You got a situation. For the last 10, 15 years, on average, only between 32 and 20% of each year's high school graduates in America are male, all races considered. Only 32% of the college undergraduates in America are male, all races considered. Only 36% of the graduate students in America, all races considered, are male. Only 44% of the workforce is male. They've got a favorite cartoon thing called Doc McStuffins. If I was a parent, I would break every TV set I had in my house or put a safety lock on it and put under there, you can't see Doc McStuffins. Some white lesbians came up, they produced it, directed, animated. And the chief character is a black woman with a big old butt, and she's supposed to be a physician. And she hangs around with her snooty female physician friends, and she brags about her house-drone, useless excuse for a black male that wears a frilly apron and flutters around the house all day cleaning and cooking so she won't have to worry about it intruding on her career. The Doc McStuffins is the daughter who's about 6 or 7 years old. She's got a magic necklace that makes toys and stuffed animals come to life, and she goes around the neighborhood doctoring on them when they get sick. She's got a brother a little younger than her, and they make him look like an idiot, and all the rest of the boys in the neighborhood are idiots, and only the girls in the neighborhoods can ever get anything right, and they got to look out for the boys who are just basically incompetent. And they've got a commercial on Comcast where you sit, you look at, it's a white kid, young white boy, and he's looking at Doc McStuffins. And then as soon as he falls asleep, it looks like his granddaddy flips the channel so he can look at a ball game. The kid wakes up, he changes back quickly to Doc McStuffins. You look at that Liberty Mutual Insurance commercial where my son has had a flat tire, and Liberty Mutual, late at night, they came out and changed it for him. And then you flip over to, my dad said our insurance company doesn't call that. What's the lug wrench? Is this a lug wrench? I don't know. They have a driver's license. This is two young males, and they don't know how to change a flat tire. I don't have sense to read the damn instructions to learn. That is just pathetic. And then they have two little cretins, one a girl and one a boy, hugged all up under their overbearing little mousy-looking mama. And she says, oh, I was just so busy with the children, I just couldn't get an estimate. But all I had to do with Liberty Mutual was take a picture, and they got an estimate and took care of it for me. Then you flip over to this incompetent woman who's apparently got 3 boys. One of them's got shoulder-length hair down below his shoulder blades. And she's chasing him around, and they're acting out of control. Where's your brother? Where's Charlie? Where's your brother? Where's Charlie? Charlie, where's Charlie? And then they fake it out because they got him inside the repair place, and they usually don't let anybody come in there because of insurance reasons. They have the dummy. What is it? There you are. You have insurance. You got to get okay, and you rear end somebody. No one's hurt, but there will be pain. Yeah, you dumb buddy. You don't rear end somebody. And then they got that fat butt white girl, and she says you went and did spreadsheets on picking your car, and then you hit a tree, and then they want to raise your accident premiums, your insurance premiums. It's not a matter of getting the right car. You got the wrong insurance. Yeah, fool, you can't drive and you slide off the road and hit a tree. Your insurance rates are supposed to be raised. And what about the one, humans' attention span's only 8 seconds, and the dumb bunny is fascinating that she's on, what is that thing? The voice, that's it. And the car has to stop for her so she doesn't rear end somebody. I hate those things, by the way. They set your radar detectors off. So it's just mediocrity and no manhood. It's just that commercial just says it all. Young boys out driving a car with driver's license. They have to be over 16, and they don't know how to change a flat tire and have to get somebody to do it for them. I looked at that and said, there's no hope. If I was a young person, I'd take Mandarin Chinese or Russian or something, because it sure ain't going to be English. It's going to be on top of the heap.
Wow.
And then here's one right here, Allegra. You got this dude jumping through a hedge. Looks like if he'd got caught, sit down in a chair, he'd be our last president getting his portrait done. Sitting off in a bush. What's the inference? He's supposed to be a bushman from Africa or something?
Oh, God.
And that woman, the first lady, she's got all some big long thing that looked like she got a sheet from Missy that was old and patched the holes up with some side material to get herself a quilt dress. Thought it looked fancy. That's so embarrassing. Oh, boy. Man. It's pathetic. And it's a lack of manhood. Cold, hard, uncompromising manhood. There's a reason it is as it is, and humanity doesn't prosper unless it is as it is. So all these other places in the world where they respect manhood, you notice they're getting on top. And we keep coming up lame excuse after lame excuse, to throw the power around that we accumulated when it was a different way. Just think about it. Okay, we got F-22 fighter planes. How long they designed that thing? How long ago it's been? 30-some years. 35 years ago they designed that airplane. So that was in a whole different education environment. This F-35 is 25 years old. That was a whole educational background. This M1 tank, they designed that thing back in 1976. That's 40 years ago, 42 years ago, different education system.
Mm.
We got a problem. The whole national defense depends on what people did that came out of public schools.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, but anyway, we can switch over. But the common thing that's going wrong with these folk that are going postal is they have no man training.
Mm. Man, that's some good observational points, Judge. And also, I want to add too with the mass shooter profile, because I know it's interesting they had this phenomenon that was talking about, black identity extremists. But what about white male identity extremists? Because you look, a lot of these mass shooters are white males, and they come from privileged backgrounds. They come from they're not going on mass shooters are not going on in Chicago.
The thing of it is they don't have daddies either.
Right.
See, that's the key.
Mm.
You see, you need daddy. Here's the thing with daddy.
Okay.
Part of the dad thing is for boys and girls. That's like you see a cub in the zoo in the natural habitat, and the lion is a formidable looking beast.
Mm-hmm.
And every now and then the cub says, "Oh hell, I'm playing with daddy's, tail or with his paw, but dad looks dangerous."
Mm.
And see, that's that father thing of that teaches you respect when dad looks a little formidable and you don't want to mess with that. That teaches you respect for authority. See, that's what's happening. You go into a restaurant, a bunch of women standing or sitting around. They are not paying any attention at all to these rats that are running loose and out of control. No home training.
Mm-hmm.
You go into a school, you can't discipline the kids in school, and the kids have no home training.
People also, you talked about the Doc McStuffins. I was thinking about the Disney thing with Frozen, how they want to give the princess a black lesbian lover, I believe, or something like that, interracial lesbian animated relationship in Disney. And I'll get your thoughts. I know I heard some things about Disney over the decades, how they have lots of subliminal messaging and whatnot. And not only in their cartoons, but also in their sitcoms and whatnot that feature young people. So what's your take on the Disney thing? What they trying to do the lesbian thing?
If you want to get an example, let's go to their latest, Black Panther.
Okay. Let's talk about Black Panther. Because a lot of people say, well, Judge didn't see the movie, man. But then somebody said, Judge, right on. I saw the movie twice. And what he said was true.
I saw it yesterday for the first time.
Okay.
I really got nauseated looking at it. And I looked around, and our people just don't get it.
Mm-hmm.
Let me try to explain it this way. Maybe this will get through to anybody listening that doesn't get it.
Okay.
Let's say that we made some changes with the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't care if I spoil the thing for you, because I don't think you're profiting seeing it. I want you to understand what you're looking at.
Mm-hmm.
This is a classic. The overall picture is one where there's an angry militant brother from the hood that the white world would think is somebody who would cut its collective throat and rise in revolt, versus the moderate, bourgeoisie, reasonable Negro that the white world loves because he's so safe and on their side and wants to do everything in an accommodationist way. There's a militant Black Panther and a reasonable Negro Black Panther.
Mm-hmm.
All our folk are all in there looking at this Pan-African thing, which isn't really African. It's Nigerian, by the way. Nigeria is now either the fourth or fifth largest country in the world. It's the largest oil producing country in OPEC, and they want to put this city that's hidden by this illusion somewhere in Nigeria. All right. Now, let's get back to another thing. There is so much matriarchal poison in this movie.
Mm.
The guards are women.
Mm-hmm.
The generals are women. The women kick the dudes in the butt. The women always accompany the reasonable Negro Panther around everywhere, and they're always arguing with him, talking over him, and correcting him and telling him what to do. It's matriarchal. You don't see any males except maybe one in the background. The scientists are all female. The Amazon warriors are male. And then there's a thing in there where they've got, let's see, one of the affiliated tribes are represented by gorilla mask, not panther mask, and there is a very negative thing with them. They've got them living, and this is in Africa now, someplace where it's perennial ice and snow, and they're living in caves, and the illusion is they're caveman Neanderthals. You don't see any of their women. You just see the men.
Mm.
Okay, you've got a formal ritual of succession that these people have, and a right to challenge for fitness to rule by combat. So you've got a militant panther who is also part of the royal house, but the difference is his father was a militant who is talking about we have to take this technology, get the third world and Africa unified, bring in the folk from the ghetto so we can use this technology that puts us 500 years ahead, so we'll be like the white man coming in to deal with the primitives, but the other way around. And we need to get this planet together. Well, okay, he gets murdered. His son grows up in the hood.
Mm-hmm.
He graduates from MIT, a scientist at 19 years old, then joins the Navy SEALs, and he got a huge body count.
Mm-hmm.
They call him, what is it, Killmonger?
Yeah, Killmonger. Yeah.
But he's the black militant panther. He's a brilliant Machiavellian, and he brings in, what is it, Fang, that all the rest of them been trying to run down for 35 years. They can't get.
Yeah.
But he does.
Mm-hmm.
He wins the right to the throne fair and square by challenge. But there's something you should notice. The Negro Panther, when he fights the guy who is the gorilla but spares his life, did you notice they gave him that concoction before the fight to strengthen him but not his opponent?
Mm-hmm.
When he fights the guy from America who comes in back from America, he gets the potion, but the militant challenger doesn't.
I thought it was doing that to drain the Black Panther juice out of him before he challenged anything.
No, remember what happened is that juice they gave him for strength.
Uh-huh. Okay.
But the other ones didn't get it.
Okay.
But the homeboy who grew up in the hood wins. The one that loses is the one that grew up in pampered wealth in the palace.
Mm-hmm.
But okay, that still looks confusing to most people. But let's just make a slight change around here. Let's take the black Amazon women and switch them for Native American squaws. Let's change the moderate Black Panther, the Negro one, to Tonto. Let's change the CIA agent to the Lone Ranger. Let's take Jordan's character, who is the militant Panther, and make him Geronimo. And his murdered father is Sitting Bull. You remember Sitting Bull did in Armstrong Custer?
Yeah, right, and Crazy Horse.
Okay. Transplant the hidden city from somewhere in Africa to somewhere in the American Southwest, say 80, 90 miles outside of Reno, where they've been doing atomic bomb tests. And instead of a meteorite providing the miraculous element that they can use to power all of their technology, let's say it's some radiation that's caused a mutation of some cactus or something.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Let's transmute the intended audience from black folk to Native Americans. Now, just put that in your head.
Right. Wow, that's powerful.
Do you think the Native Americans are going to go around and throw a party and start wearing faux Native American garbs and insult and celebrate this insult?
Hell no.
Tonto and the Lone Ranger get away with destroying Sitting Bull and Geronimo?
Man, that's powerful what you said, Judge. I think it went over people's heads. You called the Black Panther Tonto, and he was the sidekick to the Lone Ranger.
Yeah.
To the white CIA agent. So, I mean, that's deep.
Yeah. Now, if you look at the movie that way, what do you think the Native Americans would be doing?
They boycott like the Redskins. They'll boycott it.
Yeah, and what are we doing?
We celebrate. Like you said, we embrace it. I mean, we don't know the history of the CIA involvement in Africa. That's the problem. We don't know the history of the CIA.
And you know what the irony of it is? It's brilliant propaganda. It's masterful.
It's well made.
And you know what else they've done?
Mm-hmm.
The militant Black Panther and his murdered father are interesting because they put words in the militant father's mouth before he is murdered that come from directly. They're quotes from stuff Malcolm X said.
Mm-hmm.
And the things that they've got the militant Panther repeat several times are part of the actual real Black Panther Party plank.
Mm.
That's what they said back in the mid-'60s. So they take the real Black Panther Party words and put them in the militant, fictional Black Panther's mouth. And then they cause the audience to identify with the good Negro and root for the good Negro, taking out the person that is representative of the real Black Panther Party.
Mm. Wow.
And remember, the real Black Panther Party comes out of Oakland, L.A., Chicago, Louds County, down in the South, which was a predecessor with the emblem.
Right.
All right, let's get back to something else. The Panther that is the militant in this movie grew up where?
Oakland.
In the hood,
right.
In America. So what you're looking at is when all of these Black Americans sitting there and rah, 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 rah for the African Panther who grew up in Africa, a pampered rich kid, they're down in themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Because the militant Panther that grew up in the hood is them.
Right.
But they're down in him. And then they've got all these women that march around looking like hoes on the arm of a pimp, when they get all, fancied up.
Mm-hmm.
And you notice how they back talk the guy, even though they call him my king,
Right.
They back talk him and they guard him, but already guard him, or making sure that the man doesn't get out of line.
That's deep right there. I like what Killmonger did. Because a lot of people say, well, Killmonger, he choked that lady, but the lady kept on telling him she ain't going to do what he told her to do as king. And he was willing to kill one of them, too. But I'm saying, that's the difference between Killmonger and Panther.
Yeah, and by the way, no, see, you got that wrong. There are two Panthers. Both of them are qualified.
Mm-hmm.
And both of them have on that high-tech suit.
Yeah.
One just has the gold teeth, and the other one's got the silver teeth.
Mm-hmm.
And both of them are part of the royal house and eligible to be king. And the militant Panther becomes the Panther after, in combat, ritual combat, he jacks up the good Panther.
Right.
So he is the Panther. But remember, one-on-one, he jacks the other one up.
Mm-hmm.
Throws him off the cliff. He's supposed to be dead.
Right.
And then, see, this is the other thing. Those winches in there,
mm-hmm.
they don't know that he's still clinging to life. They mutiny and create treason and go find those guerrilla guys to come in and try to back them up. They go in and try to overthrow what was at that point the rightful king. They deliberately disobeyed his orders, even though they had sworn allegiance to the throne.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I agree. I was talking about the scene. Well, I was referencing the scene where he had the flowers in the cave, and he told the lady to burn them, the elder. And she was hesitant, and he had to put some force on her. The lady don't let him know he's the king and burn his stuff. Like, he shouldn't have to do that. If you're the king, you should do what the king tell you to do. If you swore allegiance to the throne, they would give him problems. Like, ever since he took the crown, they was like really trying to back. Like, even the general, she kept on trying to question his order to arm the oppressed people around the world with weapons. So, I mean, I agree with you. There was some pushback on him as king. But you know what? I found you had a lot of people that I know that love the movie. They try to justify the fact that Killmonger was not the real king, that he lost that battle with T'Challa. But it's like in boxing, if your trainer throw the towel in the ring, you know what I'm saying? If your trainer throw a towel in the ring, that means it's over with, right? Your trainer, like the spiritual elder, intervened for T'Challa. So by him intervening like that, he lost the fight anyway.
Oh, wait a minute. Let me tell you something about that. You noticed when in the very first fight with the gorilla guy, you notice how the babes got spears, and so there's women on one side identified, and then they put them where the sisters got to all be unified in opposition to the man element.
Oh, wow. That's deep. I didn't catch that. Okay.
Yeah, but you saw where they had the male warriors that came in with the gorilla guy.
Right.
Those are the only males you saw armed, but they had an equal number of female Amazons with spears.
Right.
But did you notice how each of them kept tightening up that circle until they got further and further to the end of the watered area?
Yeah.
And there was that drop-off?
Yeah.
See, the militant Killmonger Panther threw the guy off. That's what he won. There was no question about he succeeded. He's supposed to be dead.
Right.
He is the lawful king, so they commit treason against him.
Yeah.
And then what gets me, you know what punchline was?
What?
The scene in the middle of the credits at the UN meeting when dude has the conference and announces he's going to give technology to the rest of the world. And that white guy holds his hand up and says, excuse me, you're nothing but a third world agrarian area, broke as you can be. Why should we be interested in anything that you want to offer? And the CIA, the Lone Ranger back there is subtly grinning.
Man, that was so sad. I said, "It's so stupid. America's gonna take all that stuff. You know our history.
Oh yeah,
we're gonna take all that shit.
Thieves on the planet.
That's right. But people don't know the history though. Our people are not aware of the CIA role in destabilizing people's governments and taking their stuff.
Yeah, and see the other thing, they set this in Nigeria. Remember, Nigeria is one of the fourth or fifth largest and most populated countries in the world.
Okay.
Now, where did they have this mysterious, non-existent city that was hiding under a veil on somebody else's sovereign territory?
Now, I heard that Wakanda was set in Eastern Africa. That's what they had said near Kenya or Ethiopia. So you saying it was set in Nigeria?
Wasn't Ethiopia. It was Nigeria.
Okay. I mean, it's interesting.
Benin and all of that. That's West Africa.
Yeah, it's supposed to be it's supposed to be based on I look at the comment, supposed to be based on the Congo where they said the Black Panther supposed to be like Patrice Lumumba. But Patrice Lumumba did not do business with the CIA. They killed him. Him and the Belgians. The CIA and the Belgians killed Patrice Lumumba.
I know, but they took a lot of liberties. They mixed up East Africa with West Africa.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And then
they supposed to be like Congo, like you said. The Wakanda supposed to be like the Congo in West Africa. It's supposed to be like West Africa because vibranium supposed to be like coltan. Coltan, where they got in our cell phones and laptops, stuff that they use from Congo. But the vibranium probably based on something like that.
Okay, another little subtle thing. You know those shoes he first put on when he just has become king? He walks in the lab with sandals on. And she says, "You've got toes out. Why do you come in this way instead of with shoes?"
Right.
So she gives him these soles. He steps on them, and they flesh up around his feet.
Mm-hmm.
Did you notice them?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
You go down to Santa Monica Boulevard in L.A. They call that the boys' town, and those shoes are popular down there.
Okay. I like for surfers and stuff like that.
No, they're
I like.
popular for the boys' club.
Oh, so you trying to say some agenda stuff going on?
Yeah.
I was making sure, Judge. Okay. Wow.
Now, I did this. Just getting on this whole thing, I went down a list, and it goes on for 5 pages of the wrong. Okay, war dogs.
Mm-hmm.
Young black folk, males, use dog or hey dog, what's happening, man? You know where they get that from?
Where?
From their mamas. Girlfriend, I want to tell you, you know, they ain't nothing but dogs, honey. I hear you, honey. All of them dogs. That's all they are is dogs. They just want one thing. So they use the terminology war dogs. Who do the war dogs answer to? Those women generals. They are flunkies for the babes, the Amazons.
Mm-hmm.
Did you notice the thing where they brought out the AR type rifles, not assault rifles, but they were Colt editions of, well, I couldn't tell if they were full auto or not, but they were M16 circa about 1982 or 3.
Mm-hmm.
You saw that associate the evil assault rifles with the murdered uncle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
See that? Okay. The Jordan's character, Killmonger, by the way, was probably the only kid in the projects with a father. Now, the father grew up in the palace, but he was willing in the name of revolution to go to the projects in California to try and get these people together. Do you know who he was supposed to also represent?
Who?
Che Guevara.
Yeah, Che Guevara. Yeah.
Did you notice the thing about the white CIA agent looked like a dork?
Mm-hmm.
But he was supposed to be a combat pilot. What did they do? Did they have a black man who could pilot that holographic projected fighter?
No.
Couldn't find one, did they?
Mm-mm.
They had a white CIA agent, Lone Ranger.
Right. Wow.
And then it was a brilliant propaganda thing.
Mm-hmm.
They made it so that the audience was rooting against the brilliant Machiavellian brother.
Mm-hmm.
The continuous and loud association they made in the movie of righteous revolution with a selfish personal interest. And like they tried to make him evil, but, you know, that's what Lenin and Trotsky and Stalin were all about. That's what Ho Chi Minh was all about. That's what Fidel Castro was about. That's what Mao Zedong was about. You got to do these things to get a revolution going. You're ruthless.
Yeah, that's the nature, right? I mean, you gotta understand how the rules of warfare.
Yeah, and then what does the CIA do? They kill folk all the time.
Yeah.
They made him look like a righteous kind of nerdy dude.
You know, the CIA agent, he said that Killmonger was one of ours. You know, he took pride in that. Like, we taught him everything he know.
Yeah, taught him.
Yeah, right. He took pride in that.
But you know who else he was?
Who?
It came out in the 60s. There was a movie and a book called The Spook Who Sat by the Door.
That's right. Sam Greenlee. Yeah.
Remember that one?
I interviewed Sam Greenlee about it. Yeah.
The Spook Who Sat by the Door. That
he most definitely was. Yeah.
And they see, in the 60s, that was the hero of the movie. You remember that in the book?
Yeah.
But they made him a villain this time.
But you know, there's some black folks that picked up on Killmonger, though. There's some black folks I talked to, they really sided with Killmonger. You know, I really identify more with Killmonger than T'Challa dude.
Yeah, of course he did. Killmonger was cool. That was the hero.
Yeah, he was. He was no villain to me.
What they did is they made for all. See, you know better. I know better. But think of all these little 9, 10-year-old boys that got drug in there.
Right.
They don't. So they associate the righteous with villainy. Killmonger was cool, but what I couldn't stand the movie for was that they downed him, and they used a subtle little propaganda thing of associating the good guy with evil, and then taking the counter-revolutionary and making him the hero.
Wow. Well, what do you think about the scene was some people said, well, he killed their sister. When Claw took their sister hostage, his girlfriend, he shot her.
That's what you got to do.
Right. I think she understood that. I think she understood what she did and what happened.
She even apologized for it.
Right, right.
She said, I'm sorry. Well, you know, boom, you slipped up.
Right. And she took it like a soldier. I'm saying, but people don't understand. Our people don't understand what it takes. But you know how people say about Malcolm X? We love Malcolm X, but we're afraid of Malcolm X. So that one line, by any means necessary. Every time I hear somebody say that, they try to clarify. I don't mean by any means. But Malcolm said by any means necessary. He didn't say, oh, about the girls over there and this about that. No, he said he really meant that. That's why they killed him.
Well, see, that isn't the only source of by any means necessary. In the mid-'60s, everybody had a red book. Mao quotations from Chairman Mao.
Right.
And he said, by any means necessary. That's where Malcolm got that from.
But they meant that, though. Like, there was no asterisk by that. But we all trying to clarify. Or we don't mean like that.
There was no clarification.
Yeah.
And you know what else he said?
What?
No matter how inconvenient, one should immediately confront and correct incorrectness.
Wow.
No matter how impolite one seems, it is counter-revolutionary to fail to immediately correct incorrectness.
So who said this?
That's Mao Zedong in quotations
from Red Book.
Mao Zedong's Red Book.
Okay, all right, wow.
And then there's another thing too. Although there was a superficial negative expressed about it, there was a subliminal reinforcement of the colonial ethos.
Okay.
Now, the other thing that they put in there that was really bad was a parody of the black woman's role in proving up dysfunction in the black communities and the subliminal association of the femme empowerment movement with the black female. Where were the men in there?